Hello, friends. I hope you are having a great week. Happy Thursday. Thanks for joining me today. Today's episode is a fun and casual one, all about dating. I know that the culture right now around dating is rough, and neither I nor my guests claim to have all of the answers. We are not experts, but I hope something from our conversation will spark inspiration for you. I left our chat feeling motivated to better myself, and I haven't been single for 8 years, so there really is something for everyone in today's big-sis-style conversation. Before I jump into that, I want to share a few older episodes with similar big sis vibes, especially since I've had a lot of new listeners join recently. So let me just share a few of my older episodes that I think might resonate with those who listen to this episode. If you are thinking about serving a mission and you're not sure if it's right for you, go check out my episode called Thinking About a Mission, Let's Chat. If you're preparing for marriage or your wedding night, my episode called Sexual Theology with Tammy Hill is a must listen. And the last one I wanted to share is if you've recently gone through the temple or you're preparing for it and want to hear how my love for the endowment grew, listen to the conversation called Temple Endowment First Impressions. You might learn some helpful information in that episode. But now let's jump into my interview with Sarah Sweeten, all about dating. You will hear our thoughts and opinions on the current dating culture, waiting for a missionary, how to increase confidence in your single season, and what were some of the red flags and green flags we watched for while dating. Welcome to Blonde Apologist. Hello, friends, and welcome to a new episode. We are so lucky today because we are joined by the sweet Sarah Sweeten. The sweet Sarah Sweeten.
You're so sweet. Hyping me up. I appreciate it.
Welcome to the pod.
Thanks. I'm so excited. We've been talking about this for a while, so I'm glad we were able to make it work.
Well, if you're not familiar with Sarah, pull up your phone right now and look on social media. What's your handle on social media?
It's Sarah_Sweeten_.
And tell my listeners a little bit about you and what you post about and what you do.
So I am a wannabe trying influencer. I will hold the title strongly. I started my account a little over a year ago with kind of being like day one of trying to become an influencer and wanting big things for my future family and more experiences. And I always thought making content looked so fun. So I kind of just decided to go for it and have been growing my platform since then. And just wanted a place on social media that's fun and positive, and it's been good. I've been having so much fun with it. So
it's funny that you say want to be influencer because you're an influencer at this
I know.
point.
I'm trying to hold the title now. I'm trying to be better about it.
You should though, because it's kind of funny. Like you're gonna just get hundreds of thousands of followers, and you'll be like, I'm still trying to be an influencer. People will like hate you for it. So
I think it's because I'm still getting used to it myself, and even just like the fast growth and everything. But I'll own it, and I'm grateful for those who have been supporting me. So it's been fun.
Yeah, well, you're doing amazing, and she is a positive, happy place on the internet. So go give her a follow.
So are you.
We announced on social media that we were doing an episode together, and we wanted to do one all about dating because I get a lot of questions about that stage of life, and I know you do as well. So I'm titling this The Big Sis Chat with Sarah Sweeten and the Blonde Apologist.
I love it.
And we had so many submissions. We're going to try to talk about as much as we can to encompass as many of your submissions. And if we don't get to yours specifically and you feel like we didn't answer your question, just DM me again personally and we can just chat on social media. Because I love you all and I want to give you all the support that you need. But I should start with also saying, like, we are not all knowing. We are not the best people to give advice. So that's why it's the Big Sis Chat, because it's just casual fun, as if you were my friend or my sister. Like, this is the stuff that we would want to share.
Yes.
Okay, well, I thought that the best way to go about it is to kind of put it in the timeline of life. So starting with high school, talking about dating there, going into talking about missions, college, and then
all the good stuff.
Yeah, so on. So let's start with high school. For our young listeners out there, someone asked, she said, what are your tips for dating in high school and having a good perspective on the long run? Someone also asked, how come no one likes me? I'm 16. I still haven't found a single boy that likes me. It sucks. So I kind of wanted to start by just talking about what our perspective was of dating in high school and talk about the importance of like gaining your own confidence in yourself and not putting so much weight on dating. So
For sure.
talk a little bit about your experience in high school. Just what was dating like for you?
I have always been social. I am a big extrovert. I love talking with people. I'm not afraid to put myself out there. But no matter your personality, dating is going to have its pros and its cons for sure. And your high times where you're so excited about guys, and the times that all your friends are dating and you're not, and you're single, or everyone got asked to prom before you, and you're like waiting for the poster to be dropped off on your door. So I feel like I've had all the different experiences. I feel like my biggest trial in dating in high school would be, I always wanted like the title. I wanted a guy that wanted me to be his girlfriend, who wanted to own like the fact that he was dating me, post me on his Instagram, like be proud of me, show me off. And I feel like I was always the girl to have the little situationships. And then whenever the title was put on it, it was no interest anymore. And I took that really personally, and like everyone wants to go on a date with me, or they want to kiss me, but they don't want to be my boyfriend, or they don't want me to be their girlfriend. And sometimes it kind of made me feel a little bit like an object, and not in like a sexual way, but just in a sense of like almost a checklist. Like, oh, I'm going to go on a date with her, I'm going to kiss her, but I don't want it to go anywhere. And I feel like that was really hard for me in high school specifically.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense, if that sums up my high school dating.
Yeah, I'm glad that experience is so different than mine, because I feel like I didn't really care so much about having a boyfriend. Actually, I feel like I didn't want a boyfriend. Like I was like, let's just have fun and be friends and flirt with each other and go on dates. But like I kind of like avoided having like a boyfriend. I was like so known, because you grew up in Utah, I grew up in Oklahoma, so I was like known as the Mormon, and like Lauren doesn't date until she's 16 years old. Like that was just like a known thing, and I feel like I almost took pride in that, and so I just didn't really, it helped me not focus on the pressures of dating. I feel like it just depends on like where you live and what that means, and the pressures that are out there. But I just want, like, especially for the listener who's like, nobody likes me, like I haven't had a boyfriend, and I'm she said she's 16 years old. Oh no, she didn't. She said she was 16 years old. I guess I want girls to just find their value and confidence away from the boys. Like it doesn't have to, like, validation of like how hot you are or how good of a person you are or how much people like you, it does not have to be on whether or not you have a boyfriend at 16 years old.
Going back to like the 16-year-old thing, did you have the rule in your house, like you have to be 16 to go on dates? And did you grow up in Oklahoma? Because I know this was a thing in Utah, the whole sweet 16 talk. Like, oh, are you sweet 16? Have you heard that, or do you even know what that is? Okay, so I remember a cousin specifically saying this to me, and I have the best family, so this is not me throwing them under the bus, but also just like so people in my ward or whatever. It was like a standard, like, oh, are you sweet 16? Like, did you wait till you were 16 to have your first kiss? Oh gosh. And I remember I didn't. I had my first kiss at 15, and right as I started my sophomore year of high school, and I remember feeling like kind of like the shame about that, or sad, like I wasn't worthy, or because I wasn't sweet 16. So I just was wondering if that was like experience you grew up with, or even what your opinion is on waiting till 16. Do you feel like that's like a harsh thing that people should stand by? And I know this isn't doctrine, but like what's your opinion on that?
I think the strength of youth, like we got to get behind like why it had that standard, and like what the purpose of it is like we don't want us getting into serious relationships when we're so young, and that could lead to like some actions and some relationships that hurt us, and it's there to protect us. I don't think that the age necessarily changes like the safety of whether or not you should be dating or not dating. It's more of just like the principle of not rushing into a relationship or moving too fast with someone or getting too serious with someone. Like I want my children to feel that. Yes. But I don't really care so much about the age. Like I want to talk to them about the value of going on group dates and having fun and not taking on the burden of a serious relationship in high school.
I agree.
You don't have to. Like you don't have to just be with one person. And that's easy for me to say though, because I never felt someone in high school that I was like, oh, I want this to be my person. Like everyone to me, I was like, yeah, we'll be friends. Like maybe it'd be fun to kiss you, but like I don't need forever with you at 17 years old. But yeah, so I'm like, I don't know if I worry so much about the age. It's just like the helping them. I want my kids to just know that this is a time to have fun. And dating is supposed to be fun. Like, it's not supposed to be this pressured and weird thing. And I don't even know, are they even going on dates anymore? Because
I don't think they are. I don't think they are, which is so sad, because I love the point that you brought up between like rigid rules and the principles of like, my family let me go on dances all my sophomore year because my birthday was in March and they wanted me to experience homecoming or winters. And I was grateful for that. Yeah. I was grateful to be included and have those opportunities to go on those dates. And I know every family is going to handle it differently, but I was glad that they focused more on like the principles behind it, or even just the fact of like, dating isn't a bad thing. Kissing isn't a bad thing.
Yes.
Even when you're married, sex isn't a bad thing. All these things within the right focus. Mm-hmm. But when I've talked with my brother and sister, I have a brother right now who's in Provo. I'll talk about him later, ladies, because we're going to get one of you to date him off of this podcast. That's the goal. That's the goal. He's so cute. Sure, but then I also have a sister on a mission right now in the Philippines. So my brother's 4 years younger than me. My sister's 6. And hearing their experiences of dating from their perspective and mine were so different. Yeah. I'm 25 for the listeners who are listening right now. But I went on a bunch of group dates in high school, or it was pretty casual for a guy who, he didn't have to be obsessed with me to just ask me on a date to go pumpkin carving.
Totally, because that's what everyone was doing.
Yeah, everyone was doing it. But now when I've talked to my brother or my sister about it, if you're going to ask a girl on a date, it's like you're hardcore pursuing them. And it kind of makes me sad. Like, I wish we could somewhat bring that back of just casual dating and like, hey, let's all go on a group date to do something casual tonight. So I do think that makes it harder for people dating right now, 100%.
Well, and then also just the reality that if you're not getting asked on a date, it has probably more to do with the culture than it has to do with you.
I agree.
Don't take it personally. Like, I have the most 10 out of 10 younger sister. She's on her mission right now. Mm-hmm. And she went on one date while at BYU her freshman year. And I went on one date every week my BYU
it's so
freshman
crazy.
Year. And it's just the culture of the time. It has nothing, like, she's smarter and hotter than me in so many ways. So
ladies, if you're listening to this, you're smart, you're hot, you're awesome.
Yes, it's the culture, which is so hard. And it's also got to be so frustrating to hear our experiences as I'm 28, you're 25, when it was that different. So I don't mean to frustrate you. It just, let's validate that it's different now.
100%.
And it can be hard. But what you can do, and what I had to do, even in my culture and experience, is develop like the best version of myself and focus on myself and realize that there was value beyond dating or kissing a boy. Like, I didn't kiss someone until I was 19 years old. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's fine. Like, some people would look at that and be like, oh my gosh, I failed. Like, I haven't kissed. But I like I wore it like a badge. Like, no one is good enough for me to kiss.
I love that. I love that kind of attitude. I'm all for that.
And so, and I just feel like that confidence came in knowing like who I was and why I was valued. And so I can't stress that enough for any young women out there listening.
Yeah. I think it's good to not confuse attention with your worth, and that you're valuable whether or not you're dating or not.
Yep.
And I feel like people, you kind of do a scoreboard, especially in high school or whether in your college, of, oh, my roommate gets asked out all the time.
Totally.
Or they always get asked out to prom before me, or all my friends got engaged before me. And what am I doing wrong? Or maybe I'm not as cute, or it's because I'm not going into nursing school at BYU, like all these hotties out there, and we support you in that. But like, it's all these things that we compare ourselves to.
Yeah.
I was at UVU, and sometimes I would think on dates like, oh, because I'm not at BYU, do people not want to date me as much? And also, I'm going to say this really quick. I know I'm going to have listeners from my page who are not LDS on this podcast. And so we do definitely have some LDS lore culture talks on here. But I also think it's really cool for you kind of understand like the things that come on both sides. But I wanted to mention that for the people who are listening from both sides. But I think it's so important not to keep a scoreboard in that sense, because comparison can be so hard. And if you're keeping tallies like that, dating is going to be such an emotional roller coaster the whole time.
Yeah. I also, when I would date someone or go on a date and it like they didn't ask me out again, or like didn't work out, like I always, again, maybe this is just my pride, but just my thought was like, well, then they're not the right person for me. Like, if they don't value me because I'm whatever, X, Y, or Z, then that's fine. And like, I didn't ever really take it personally. Mm-hmm. Do you have experience with like, I mean, I don't know how to tell people to get there. I don't know if I'm even making sense, but I just like, I don't want people to compare themselves to others and think like that's the problem or that's the reason, when in reality there's someone out there that will be perfect for you and will be right, and you just have to kind of just brush off the ones that aren't.
It's hard because I saw one of the submissions and they were talking about like when dating comes, we're told we need to have practice or go on a bunch of dates and then you'll meet the one. But I think another good point to bring up is it only takes one person. Like there's your one dream perfect guy out there. Some girls might go on 15,000 dates in Provo and meet their one, and you might go on 4. And that's okay.
Yeah.
There's no rule book to dating. And while we have this whole conversation, it's not black and white dating. Like, oh, you should wait for your missionary. You should not. You should do this. You should not. Because dating's supposed to be different for every single person. And so I think that's an important thing to bring up. But I also want to validate the girls that do get asked on those dates, because I have had the times that I'm super confident and I'm like, their loss, I'm amazing. I'm going to make the best wife. I'm the best girlfriend. And then I've had times where I get home from the date and it's silence and I am so down on myself. Yeah. And it affects how I am when I'd walk through the UVU hallways the next day. And I remember I got home from my mission. I served in California. And I had gained some weight on my mission, like we all do. We were feeling a little chunky. And I would curl my hair every single day because I had the thought, oh, today could be the day I meet them. When I go to the FHE or in my class, or I was always ready, and I fried my hair to a crisp when I came home from my mission, because I was like, I always want to be ready. And I was trying so hard to fit this stereotype of what I thought I had to be for someone to like me. I have to be ready all the time. I have to have my hair curled. I have to lose the weight from my mission. And it became this like game of mine. For me, I wanted the cowboy. That was all I wanted. I wanted the cowboy, like the longest ride, like the Hannah Montana movie. This is the vibe we're going for. I wanted a manly man, cowboy, hardworking guy. So in my opinion, I was like, I need to change who I am to impress that type of guy. So I need to become this hardworking, strong woman who loves to fish and loves to do all these things.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember trying to put on this persona that I was so strong, so independent, because that would attract that kind of guy. When in reality, I ended up meeting a guy just like that. My husband is pretty cowboy, pretty hardworking. But when I met him, I started being myself. I became more feminine. I wasn't trying to be this headstrong type of girl. And I wish I would have realized early on to just be more myself.
Yeah.
And that you're going to attract exactly who you want and dream of by being yourself.
Yes. I think that's such good advice. It's so true. One thing about the culture that I think is really bad right now is this idea that there's so many options out there that you don't have to stick. Like if you don't like this one aspect about this person, like dump them, because there's a million fish in the sea and like you could find somebody else. And I feel like that creates a very like competitive, but also just like this like painful dating environment where people are like looking for perfection in some ways, like looking for exactly what they want. So I kind of want to speak to that because I'm thinking about your experience and my experience. Because I guess I worry that people sometimes... Did you watch The Altar, At the Altar?
No, I see a bunch of clips, but I haven't actually seen it. I just see clips online.
So it's so cringe and so good at the same time. I watched, it's really easy to watch, but I just feel like one thing that I took away while watching that is like these people are like looking for something so specific that they're not even willing to engage and date with people that aren't that specific thing that they're looking for. And when one like hiccup or one thing came up about someone that they didn't like, all of a sudden they're like, oh, I don't even want to go on a date with you. It's like, wait, why? Like,
exactly.
Why are you looking at such little things and not willing to just talk to someone and get to know them at a deeper level? And I just, for me, that's one thing about the culture. And that was the thing when I was around at BYU too, and I was dating in the scene, is there was always in the back of your mind like, oh, but what if there's someone that has all these qualities, but they're also funnier, or like they have all these things. And I guess I want to have a conversation about like making a list of the things that actually matter and the things that don't. Like, how did you know in dating, like, what to prioritize so that you didn't get caught up in like thinking like, oh, there's always going to be someone better, but like focusing on what was actually important?
You know what I was thinking about while you're saying that? Like, let's use the first date as an example. You go on the first date, you have an hour or two to learn about this person.
Right.
And judging off that hour or two, you decide if you want to go on a second date or not. And like you said, some people be very picky and they're like, oh, but he doesn't like football and I'm the biggest Utah football fan. But maybe flip it onto yourself and think, what did they learn about me in those 2 hours? Like, what else have they not learned about me? Yeah. Or, oh, I said that. And so you'd want to give them the same grace. You'd want someone to learn about you. You're like, I didn't even get to tell them that I'm passionate about this or these are my goals. So I think that's a good way when you're being so picky or so yes or no to someone, you would want the same back for you. Absolutely. Because they only got an hour or two with you too. But I feel like it's really good to, like you said, there's difference between being picky and being intentional. Being picky is he has to be 6'4", he has to like sports, he has to be a doctor and go to college. And in being intentional is I want someone who's kind or kind to his parents, hardworking, who wants to be a father. Yeah. And I think a good example that I can bring up in my personal life is I met my husband. Let me just tell the story. And this will kind of, I met my husband on Mutual. His name's Sebastian, but he goes by Bass, B-A-S-S, like the fish. And when I came across his profile, very first thing, I didn't want to swipe up on him because his name was Bass. I was like, that's so weird. He's like, his name is like a fish. Like, I just can't do this. But I ended up swiping up with him and ended up going on a date with him. And I'm so grateful because I loved that first date with him. But then my second hold up with my husband is he didn't go to college and he wasn't planning on going to college at the time. And for me, that was on my list. Totally. Of like things I'm going to stand strong on. He has to go to college. And that was so hard for me to wrap my head around because I'm like, in my head, he's going to go on a mission. He's going to come home, go to college, and that.
Go be the doctor.
Yeah, go be the doctor. Yeah, exactly. And he had big dreams of starting a construction company and had really good skills in that. And he had to talk to me about, hey, I don't need schooling for this route. And I know this is going to be really good for our family. But I had to work through it and say, you know what? It doesn't always have to be straight and narrow. This has to be the path they have to be on. Because him not going to college and him starting his company has been the best thing for our family. Yeah. And I'm so proud of him. So I'm not saying college is a good thing or a bad thing. I went to college. I loved college. But I'm grateful in that moment that I could look at the bigger picture and be like, this guy is perfect. Yeah. He's named after a fish. He didn't go to college, but I love this boy. Yes. And he is so caring. He's so hardworking. He's the manly man I always wanted, but then he'll jam out to High School Musical with me in the car. So why am I going to let that go just because my perfect list isn't what I thought? Totally. So I think it's really good to have standards. And like we need to have standards. But I also think it's really good to look at the bigger picture and be like, don't let that list hold you back from meeting the guy. Yeah, it's funny because my husband and I are so different. Really? Like we don't have any of the same hobbies. And really? I feel like people are like we don't like the same shows, we don't like the same music, we don't have the same hobbies. And I feel like people would be like, oh, that like wouldn't work out, or like that's not what I want someone to share my hobbies with. I feel like it creates so much curiosity in our marriage because like he's teaching me about his hobby and I'm teaching him about his, and there's just like a respect for both. Yeah. But I feel like it like I don't know, it just like because the things that matter we align on, like the other stuff doesn't actually matter. Like how we feel about our worldview, how we feel about the gospel, how we feel about treating other people, and how we want to parent our children. Like those are things that we align on so well that it doesn't matter that we don't watch movies or shows together, rarely ever, because we don't have the same interests. So we actually read books at night because he's going to read his book, I'm going to read my book. And if occasionally there's books that we read together because like we both like reading books. So I guess I'm just saying that because that's another thing is like your list doesn't have to be like a perfect match. Like we don't match in a lot of ways. Can I ask you a question on that? What was that like when you started dating him? Were you, in the past before you met your husband, were you trying to find someone who aligned perfectly with your hobbies and then you found him? Or what was it like dating someone who wasn't exactly like you? It was so fun
because I feel like I was just like learning all these new things and being introduced to some. And there are things that we do line up. Like we both love hosting a party. We love hosting.
Okay, I'm inviting myself
next time. That's so fun. Yeah, we love having a good party. And it's like there were things that we would line up on, and that's what we focused on. And for like one of them being big one is like volleyball. We met playing volleyball, and we both love volleyball.
Fun.
But like that's the only sport we'll play together because he doesn't like the other sports that I like, and I don't really care for the other ones that he cares for. And so, I don't know, I just think it was fun in dating because I got to learn all about his hobbies and do stuff with him. And I remember, this is kind of silly, but I was thinking that we weren't very compatible and in the beginning. And I was worrying too much about my list. Like one of those things on my list was college, and my husband was a college dropout. And that was one thing that I totally had to work through. And we weren't like officially dating. We were just kind of hanging out, and like we'd go on dates here and there, but we weren't like serious. And he had invited himself actually to come to my FHE one night. And we're at FHE, and at the time in this ward, I was the Relief Society president, and there was a few sisters that I was worried about. And there was one in particular that I was worried about. I didn't express any of this information to him before going to this activity. It was a kickball night. I'm playing kickball, and he's just integrating himself and having a good time and having so much fun. And then I saw him like go off to help and like kind of tend to and minister to the sister that I was the most worried about.
That's awesome.
And I remember in that moment, like I didn't feel like competition at all or like worried that way, but I felt so much like, oh, he can recognize her needs by just like being here in this moment the same way I do. And like I just knew in that moment, like, wow, we are so similar in that way. And it just like brought me so much peace. And I was like, I want to date this guy literally after watching him, because I could just tell. I'm like, you were able to learn through the spirit or whatever and recognize her needs and read her and help her get. And I could tell he was just trying to build her up and make sure she had a good night, which was a burden that I was carrying already.
That's cute of him.
And so I don't know. To me, it just like hit me in the face that night. Like, these are the things that matter, Lauren. It doesn't matter that he didn't go to college. Like, he was bald at the time, something that I thought I cared about. Now I'm like only attracted to bald men.
I love that.
And I'm not saying attraction's not important. Attraction's so important. I was very attracted to him. But in my head, was I going to marry a bald person? No, like I didn't see that.
I think what I learned from just listening to you and like your example is you were open to learning about someone else's passions in life, to let his stuff be curious to you. Like when you were talking, you're like, I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Like it opened all these new doors in my life for you of all his interests and everything. But I feel like one of the reasons that you guys could have continued to go on dates and why you're together now is because you were open.
Yeah.
If you shut him down immediately because he wasn't like you, then you would have never had the opportunity to see him in the light of him going up and helping that woman and realizing, wow, like that's exactly who I want. So I hear that and I'm like, what a good example of just being open and learning about other people. One question we got was, how can I make first dates less awkward? And I think some of the best times is ask them questions.
Yes.
Like if you don't have to always worry about your responses. Ask them questions. What are they into? People love to talk about things that they're passionate about. And I think being curious about others gives you opportunities in friendships and relationships just to get closer to them in general. So your husband sounds like an angel. And I love our bald, fish-named, cute men. And there are so many awesome guys out there, ladies.
Yes. I guess I just don't, it's hard to say this because I'm also like, don't settle for less. Your bars can be high. Your standards need to be high. And my standards were high. But as in high, it meant I wanted someone that was going to meet me in the temple. That's a high standard. But I don't care what his degree's in, or even if he has a degree, I don't care like what his activities are. Would you have any like red flags? A lot of people asked about red flags, and I'm like, there's like so many, and it's such a broad question that I don't know how to even give advice on like what are some red flags.
I think for me, a big one is just how they treat others.
Yeah.
I think it's always good to see them around family, around friends, and how they treated their friends, how they treated their parents or their siblings. That was really big to me. And if I saw them, or a waitress at dinner, if there was any form of unkindness or short temper, for me, that was a red flag. Character was really big for me. I'd say that was one of my red flags. I feel like you're going to find a lot of red flags in Provo, Utah, and you're going to find a lot of green flags in Provo, Utah. And I'm using Provo as an example because a lot of our listeners that are listening today are in those areas. But just take it as a good thing. Every time you get one of those red flags, add it to your list of you're one step closer to meeting the guy with the green flags.
Yes.
But you also do need to be careful. And some of the submissions I did read of these girls that are in these situations that don't know how to get out, I'm like, if you're already questioning it and you're writing into a podcast about these things that are hard, for me, that's the red flag.
Yeah.
And you should never have to settle for those type of things. Or if your family doesn't like them, your roommates don't like this person.
That's hard.
And you're hesitant, but they also still have great qualities. Like, I get that. I'm thinking a guy in my head, I know who I'm thinking of right now, who is that way. There were so many things about him that were awesome. And every good person is going to have their red and green flags. But you should never have to convince yourself that their red flags aren't going to be that bad. If you're doing that, today's got to be the breakup, girl. You're listening to this? Like, today's got to be the breakup. Like, kind of harsh, but you shouldn't have to.
I felt the same thing when I was reading those kinds of submissions. Is like, if you're questioning it and you're not sure, it's like, you need to trust. I think people are so scared of being single again and the fear of the unknown. And it's like, okay, but there is a lot of comfort. I understand that there's a lot of comfort and there's a lot of good, but there's better. And they're supposed to be better.
Yes.
And just trusting that, okay, I'm going to take this step to find someone better.
Yes.
Being single for a bit is going to be a part of that.
And I think one thing I sent a voice recording back to one of my followers that sent in a recommendation like that. And I just reminded them, like, once you break up, those first couple dates are going to be hard.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to compare to that guy.
No, you're not going to be comfortable.
No, you were so comfortable with him. It was so easy. You knew what each other liked. It was fun. And so just kind of expecting that, I think, makes the breakup a little easier.
Yeah.
That, like, you need to get through that first couple dates after, or even just a date after. And it's not going to feel the same, but then you're going to meet that person that you don't have to convince them that their red flags aren't that bad.
Yeah.
Like, you don't deserve that.
I will say the biggest green flag, and it would be a red flag if it's not the case, is they're quick to say, I'm sorry.
Yes.
They don't have a hard time saying, I'm sorry. That is the biggest green flag. And when you're dating, you don't have fights as much. If you're having serious fights while dating, I'm concerned for you. I really am.
I agree.
Like, it's supposed to be fun. You're learning to communicate. So, of course, there's like little bumps in the road as you're learning to communicate. But then when you're married and life gets hard, like, you're going to have disagreements and you're going to fight and you're going to make mistakes, both of you. And I'm constantly like, my husband is so good at saying sorry, and I want to be better at saying sorry faster. So that's a big green flag. Like, if they are quick to say you're sorry, even in the little things. And if they can't acknowledge that when they have made a mistake, holy crap, run so fast, in my opinion.
And I kind of want to can we jump into marriage, dating in a sense really quick? I think that's such a good thing to talk about. I remember before I got married, people talking about how marriage takes work, or, oh, marriage is hard. And I was like, I don't understand that. Because this is me. I'm like in the engaged stage or the dating stage.
This is the best.
I'm like, this is the best. And I could never picture getting in a fight with my husband. I was like, he's perfect. My fiance at the time. And marriage has been completely different than what I thought. It's also been way better than I thought. We have a really, really healthy, awesome relationship. And I don't have one thing bad to say about him on this podcast. I love that man so much. But we have had to learn how to date again, all over again. And we've had to learn different versions of ourselves. And I love what you said about even just learning how to apologize. But I don't think that dating is just a period of things you do in high school, or it's just a stage in college. It's like a forever thing. Dating is a forever thing. And that's something my husband and I've had to really work on, is still learning how to date now and make that a priority and rediscover the versions we are now, because we're different.
Totally.
We're so different. And there's things about me that are way harder than like when he was dating me that he's dealing with now about me, and vice versa. But I think I wish I would have heard more examples of that, because when I first got married and we ever did get in a little argument or there was a little disagreement, I was like devastated that we were even in an argument. I was like, no, we're fighting. Like, you know, because when we didn't really experience that while dating. And so I just wanted to talk about that in a sense that it's normal. If you're newly married right now and you're listening to this, like, that's okay. That's good. It's good to learn now how to work through those and how to continue to date.
Totally. I remember in our first year of marriage thinking of the scripture where Adam's like, it's not good for man to be alone. And like, man and women need each other. And it's so obvious to me. It's because we grow so much in partnership. There's so much growth that I can only develop with my husband's help. And sometimes those are growing pains. Those are someone else helping me see my weaknesses that I was unaware of. And it's just a beautiful part of the relationship. So yeah, don't fret if that is something that you're working through right now. We had a lot of girls ask about dating missionaries and sending off missionaries and waiting for missionaries. So I do want to touch on that for a second.
Did you ever have a missionary? Did you ride a missionary?
No, I don't know.
The hesitation. Are you lying? Come on. Tell us about the missionary.
I mean, I told you guys that I didn't kiss someone till 19. So like all the boys that I sent from high school off, like I was friends with them. So like I'd write here and there, but I didn't like, never was I going to wait for somebody.
Yeah.
And when I left for my mission, like I had a boy specifically that I was like wanting to date, and like I wrote him my whole mission, but like I didn't ask him to wait and never would I have asked him to wait.
Gotcha.
Hot take, like I am not a fan of the waiting. Okay,
I am with you on that. I wanted to talk about that so bad,
and I'm so scared to share this because we had so many girls like, I'm waiting for my missionary, help me, give me advice, I just sent my missionary off. And I want to be like, okay, let's not wait. I think that it's so silly when they're gone for 2 years. Someone, even if they come home early, like you don't know, however long they're gone, it's just, there is so much to learn about yourself, and waiting for someone prevents you from learning a lot of those things. And they also will be learning stuff about themselves and like being so focused on you and thinking about that future. Like, I don't know, I struggle with it big time.
And that's not to say that the whole high school sweetheart things and that it can't work out.
Oh no, there obviously
are so many role models in my life of people who waited for each other on their mission.
Yes.
And I've heard awesome stories about it too, of how they've both grown and how they were able to cheer each other on in their stages. So I don't want to discredit anyone in those situations, because I know there's going to be a listener that's right now that she's like, shut up, I'm listening, I'm waiting for my husband.
No, like, so many of them.
You know, like, you don't get it, we're perfect for each other. And like, girl, I totally feel you. I feel you on your end. For any listeners who know what HXP is, it's
I don't know what that is.
It used to be called Heffy. It's like
HEFY.
Yeah, or HEFY. Okay. Yeah, it's basically, for those who don't know, it's a humanitarian company. They travel around the world. I was a trip leader for them, and they go and do different humanitarian trips around the world. I was a trip leader, and it's also faith-based. So it's not endorsed by the church, but you do different spiritual activities and faith-growing experiences during it. And the summer before I got married, I was a trip leader for HXP. And I had one of the girls who was one of the youth in my group talking about the same situation. Her boyfriend was getting ready to leave on a mission. They were both seniors at the time, so they still had some time. And she was talking about how she was going to wait for him. She was not going to go on another date, and how she just knew he was the one. And she also talked about intimacy with this guy, and how she looked at intimacy different with him because she knew she was going to marry him. And how, maybe they had gone like a little farther than they should have, but she knew he was the one. And I know this is such a sensitive topic, so I'm not really trying to go off like a far dive on it. But I feel like a lot of people are in these situations. And I had a guy that I was like, he's the one. But my 17, 18-year-old self wanted things completely different than my 23-year-old self when I did end up getting married. And I remember talking to her, and I'm like, I have total faith that you could get married, and this could be your guy. But I also totally know that there are awesome people outside of Idaho, outside of Utah, outside of Arizona that you could meet, that God wants you to meet and have experiences with. And my perspective on this and my opinion will be strong on this, that I don't think you should wait. I think you should take those 2 years to go on dates. You don't have to jump in anything serious. If every date you get home and you're like, you know what? Johnny who's on his mission is still better.
The one,
then like, it sounds like you and Johnny are great and he'll still be there.
Totally.
But you got to be careful.
And there's so many success stories. So again, this isn't to say that that's not a valid relationship. Like it could totally be, but you grow so much. There is so much change that happens over that period of time for both of you. And to invest so much and not go on other dates is just, it just would make me sad. Honestly, I would be sad if one of my kids chose to wait for a missionary. I'd be like, you're missing out on so many awesome opportunities.
Yeah.
And just meeting great people. Like, you don't know what will come of them, and you can still marry that person in 2 years when they get home.
Sure. I'm like the biggest fan of that. And like, you can even stay in contact. You can still email them.
Totally.
Like, that's great. Like, but I had so much fun in college. I have the craziest, weirdest dating stories ever, but I'm so glad I had those.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I had the positive and the good and the bad. And I wrote missionaries. I'm not anti that. In fact, I had a missionary who I wrote that I really thought I was. But I dated. And you know what? It didn't end up working out. And what if I did wait for that guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he ended up coming home. I was a COVID missionary, so I had half and half.
Yeah.
And he ended up coming home with the COVID, and I stayed out because I was in California. And he completely changed when he got home. And I remember thinking, wow, that was such a good example to me of like, you never really know.
Yeah.
So for the girls, like, I am all for like, go marry that missionary. If it works out, I'm so happy for you. But also go on the group dates with your friends, go meet people. And if he's the right guy, I strongly believe that the right guy would be okay with you going on those dates.
Yeah.
Is it going to be hard? Oh yeah. Like I would feel that way.
No, but they should be focused on the work.
But they should be.
They really
should.
But
I can get the side of if I was on a mission and there was a boy home, I would be like kind of wanting to like, oh no, don't go on any other dates because you want to protect it.
Yeah.
But at the same time.
No, I would literally say, no thanks.
If your relationship is strong though, like you should be able to go on those dates and have those experiences. So I also don't think it's a bad thing if you have a missionary out right now and you've already made the rule of like, we're going to wait. You can reevaluate that conversation.
Yeah.
That's okay. I feel like a lot of people, senior trip just happened and all the feels are feeling and
promise rings were given.
Promise rings were given and you're feeling all these feelings and he leaves and now you're 6 months into BYU and you're like, did I make that right decision? It's okay to talk with your missionary.
Yeah.
And be like, you know what? I want to go on dates. It doesn't mean any of my feelings are not as strong, but I would encourage to have that conversation. Maybe see how he reacts. Maybe that would help you know if he's the right one or not, is how he'd react. I don't know.
I got a couple of submissions that I wanted to read. This person said, my boyfriend who has left on him. Oh my gosh.
Redo.
She says, my boyfriend is on his mission. Is it valid to be sad if he is low-key ghosting me? And I just want to say, yes, of course. Like, it is valid to be sad if that relationship is not what you intended it to be. But let me also say, like, if he's just focusing on the work, like, that could be hotter. You know what? Like, that's even better.
I love that point of view.
Like, that's good. And I had one girl who talked about how, like, there is literally a Facebook group for girls who send boys on missions and, like, coping with it and how to work through it. And, like, that's great. I'm so glad. And this clip will probably get so much hate on that page. But when, like, girls will, like, see that their boyfriend has new sister missionaries as friends on Facebook from their mission, and they'll start to panic, or like they're worried, like, oh, now he's friends with all the sisters in his mission. And it's like, that's what you're supposed to do on a mission. Like, you're supposed to add your other missionary friends and you do the work on social media. So it's like, don't overthink stuff, don't worry, and do not get so hung up on like what your missionary is doing. Like, literally just focus on yourself. This is your time to be single, and like, that's fun.
I feel like overthinking is one of the root problems in dating. In every category.
Yeah.
Whether it's you worrying about him liking other women, or maybe it's an ex-girlfriend that you're comparing yourself to. Oh, well, his last ex-girlfriend was a big soccer player and I'm a dancer, so now all of a sudden I need to be good at soccer. Yeah. She had brunette hair and I'm blonde, or whatever it is. Like, it can be hard not to compare yourself. And I get that. And I have been there. But in the right relationships, you're not worrying about those girls. And I think that's what I've been grateful for in my good relationships, is that I feel confident with them. I'm not having to compare myself because I know my husband adores me exactly how I am. And I just don't want all these cute girls who are listening to this podcast to be looking at their roommates who got married before them and like think that they need to be that. Like that actually makes me really sad. And I feel like that was the biggest thing I saw in my comment section and in my DMs when I posted about this, is people comparing themselves and overthinking themselves to what other girls are receiving. And that made me sad. I don't know.
I think one thing that people are so worried about that I want to touch on too is like, well, how am I going to meet them? Like, okay, I'll be myself. I will focus on myself. I won't change myself. But then like, where am I supposed to meet them? And I think that's a challenge in today, because now everyone's just on the dating apps, and that is scary. If I was dating right now, I wouldn't be on the dating apps. I mean,
it's hard.
My younger sisters who are in the dating scenes, they're not on the dating apps. And so you don't have to be on the dating apps, but the dating apps also work. I know you met Fats on the dating apps. That's how we're married. So it's like,
I mean, granted, I will say I'm not an expert. We're both the only date we went on from the app. So I feel like I kind of like had a unique experience in that. And I feel like my quick opinion on the dating apps is you're going to get out of the apps what you put in. I had someone in my life who swiped up on every single guy, and then she was just complaining that the dating apps have the weirdest, craziest guys. But I'm like, you need to be selective on the apps, just like you would in real life with people you're going on dates in your classes or that you're meeting at church. So I feel like it's a lot how you use the apps. I think using the apps is great. I feel like for the people who are really stuck, who haven't been on a date at all in a long time, I'd actually suggest getting on the app. Because if you're talking with someone and you don't get the vibe, okay, don't reply.
Yes,
that's totally the power of the app.
Them through the messages.
Yes, so I am totally pro app, but I'm also totally pro not app. I think it's totally user what you put into it, if that makes sense.
No, I like that too, because I did have some people say like, I just don't get the opportunity to go on a date ever. I don't feel like I have any experience, and so what am I supposed to do on dates? Like, well, then practice and go on some dates, and the apps could be a good way to do that. You can find dates faster that way.
When you were in college or in high school, let's do college more so, how do you feel like you got asked on dates?
It was mostly through friends. Like it was either through my ward, so going to activities and people through my ward meeting people, but a lot of just like meeting people through friends. Like going to activities, getting together, big hangouts, and like just meeting someone and being like, oh, I'm interested in you, let's go on a date. I wish it was like that easy still.
What would your advice be now for someone who hasn't, let's say it's been 4 months and they haven't gone on a date?
I would say ask someone out.
Yeah.
I think a lot of girls are worried about asking out, and I think they want the man to step up. But I always give this advice to my sisters. I'm like, put yourself out there. Like, if that is, I feel like it's more common for girls to ask now than it used to be.
And a girls group date, I think, is the easiest way to get into that.
Yeah, so
because I feel like it can be really scary to just be like, I'm going to go ask a guy and it's just me and him and I have to plan it out.
Yeah.
Like, I totally can see the fear behind that. But we're going into a fun couple months of dating, girls. We're getting into the fall, and I feel like there's a bunch of fun dates. It is so easy to each go get 2 pumpkins from Walmart and do a pumpkin carving night, and every girl asks someone. And even if you're having a hard time meeting someone, if your friend invites someone, ask them if they have a friend that they could bring for you.
Yeah.
Sometimes that works too.
Totally.
And it's not always going to be ideal. He might show up and you're like, oh, this isn't really my vibe.
No, of course.
But I do believe that God recognizes our efforts. And when he realizes that you're putting your efforts to put yourself out there and try to plan those dates, I do believe good things come out of that.
Yeah. I mean, what would your advice be for someone who hasn't been on a date in so long and feels like there's just no one out there?
It's so hard. And I feel like I want to just validate the person first before I even give a reply. Sometimes you just need someone to tell you like, that sucks, girl. And I'm like, sorry, like that's really hard. Like it would be really hard to go months and months and not be asked on a date. And so like, I'm giving you an air hug through the screen, through your AirPods, whatever you're listening, because that's not fun. And I'm sure you've gone through your head of all the things that you could be doing better and what you're doing wrong. And I really don't want you to feel that way. And I know that God has someone awesome for you out there. I really do believe that. My friend is doing a solo date series right now on her social media, but I also think that'd be an awesome thing to do with yourself. Go take yourself on dates.
Yeah.
And I don't think focusing on yourself is always the best option, because that's probably the worst thing to hear. You're like, I don't want to focus on myself. I want to focus on finding a guy and I want to meet someone. But hype yourself up, girl, and give yourself the attention you're wishing some stupid guy would in the period of that you're waiting. And then I think what you said of asking on the dates is really awesome. I also think asking people to set you up.
Yes, I think so too.
And so if you have...
It's networking.
Yeah, networking. And so I think that would be my biggest thing is if you have people, think of the people who love you in life, who just would want to set you up with someone, whether that's church leaders or whether that's neighbors in your old ward or whatever it is. There are people who love you. So go to those people who love you and be like,
yeah, and you trust their judgment.
yeah, I need to go on some dates. Just be honest. I need to go on some dates. I want to go on some dates. Do you know anybody I could go on a date with? I'll take them out, even if they don't want to ask me. So I would just start networking, see who wants to set you up, ask your friends, hey, do you guys know anyone? Like, especially in Provo, you all come from different high schools. If you're in the college scene, everyone's from different high schools. Hey, do you know a guy from high school that you really liked that I could go on a date with? And just try doing that. And then I also think finding girls who are going to support you in dating and surrounding yourself with girls who want that as well. Go find your girl groups that like, hey, let's all go try to meet people.
Yeah.
Let's try to set each other up. Let's try to plan the group dates. I think that helps a lot as well.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, yeah, that's such good advice. I'm feeling really good about this episode.
I am too. I'm feeling good about it. I'm like, we're no experts over here. I'm sorry if our advice has been bad or been good, but
I know. Well, and yeah, I remember being single. The most annoying thing was listening to people's advice about dating.
Yeah.
When you want it to happen so bad. So I don't even know if this is helpful, but at the end of the day, like you were saying, like, I know that there is someone out there for you. I know that God has a plan for you. And if you are in a place where you just want to embrace singleness, I have a whole episode on that I push people to. That is so good. It's like finding joy in every season.
That's awesome.
And go listen to that episode. Maybe I'll link it in the show notes for this one, because I also feel like that's a very valid place to be in. And it's okay if like that's hard, and it's going to be hard. And I had someone on who was perfect for that conversation.
I also think like the title of this episode being like Big Sis Chats, like I am no expert to dating.
No.
Like neither of us are. And I don't want this podcast episode to come like over all knowing. And here we are, we've been married. So here's our advice, you know? So it's like, I don't think that's the intention of this episode at all, but I do think there's just power in a good girl chat and just being able to talk through things and just realizing like we had hundreds of submissions for this podcast episode of all the girls were in the same situation.
Yeah, I wanted to say that too.
And so I think that's the biggest thing is that you're not alone. You might not walk away from this podcast episode with any tangible advice. You probably won't. But that's okay. I think sometimes it's good to just realize, like, even us, like, we are married now, but all of those same feelings that you're having, we had. Yeah. So I hope that that's at least what you walk away from, and that it's just good to have conversations with people about it. And my biggest challenge from this episode is to have a good conversation with God about dating. And I feel like sometimes we pray all the time of like, God, help me find someone to date or help me find someone to marry. But have you really talked to God about it? And sit down with him and be like, okay, God, let's play a little game. I want to tell you everything I want in a guy. I want him to be 6'2". I want him to be blonde. I want him to be a cowboy. I want him to be hardworking. I'm naming everything of my husband right now. But I think it's okay to have those talks and then be like, God, these are the types of guys I'm going on dates with. This is what is really hard for me right now. And just have a good long conversation with him. And I think there's so much power in that. Yeah. So maybe we need to have like not a big sis chat, but like a big bro chat.
With Heavenly
Father. I don't know. Like send a prayer up and just talk.
Daddy-daughter chat.
Daddy-daughter chat. That's better than big bro chat. But with God and tell him like what you're wanting and what you're needing.
I love that. It's so good. And I actually was just recording an episode about getting answers from God through the scriptures. And so this is like on my mind right now. But we just talked about the reality of like, yeah, you pray and you talk to God, you ask him all those questions. And then as soon as you open your scriptures, you give him the opportunity to answer those questions. So if you're like, how do I meet somebody? where do I need to, like, should I go move? Should I, like, what should I do? And trying to discern the choices in your life, like, let the Spirit guide you in them. And also don't put so much pressure on yourself that you have to be doing all the right things to find the right person. Like, there are a ton, I don't believe in soulmates. I would love to hear your opinion on soulmates. We could maybe talk about that. But I really do believe there are multiple people that I probably could have had a very happy, healthy relationship with in this life. And so,
that's why we have
stress.
agency too.
Yes, of course. So don't put so much pressure on yourself and worry and let your OCD go crazy, because live your life.
Back to like your scripture topic, and I can make this quick, but for someone who's listening right now who is struggling with their faith, maybe they're feeling like they're not meeting anyone because they're not reading their scriptures, or they're not saying their prayers, or like, oh, if I was a better Christian, then I would be meeting someone. The other side of it, maybe we have some listeners right here who are not LDS, because I know people from my page will come over who are not LDS. And so maybe their first thing to do isn't going to be to pray, isn't going to read their scriptures, but maybe now it is. What advice would you give to that person who's either struggling with their faith and blaming it on that, or who doesn't really have a faith but is trying to navigate these things?
I just want people to know that, like, God reaches you where you're at. You're reaching. And so to say that God isn't going to answer this prayer because you didn't read your scriptures consistently, like, just isn't true. Or to say, like, oh, this isn't working out for me because I'm not someone who even believes in God, like, that's not true either. Like, this world and this plan that God's created, whether you believe in him or you don't, was created for your happiness, was created for you to have joy. And in your pursuit of doing good, you will obtain that. And if that is to find a husband or to find a spouse, it will happen for you. And so I just want people to have hope, and maybe just not just have hope, and just trust that. And if you don't believe in God, it's hard to say just that God has a plan, but he does. And everyone, we say that and it's like, yeah, Lauren, I know that God has a plan, but this plan sucks for me. And I was recently talking to my sister Emma about this, because she has had a rough go with dating. Like, she's been in the dating scene for 6 years now, and I feel like the guys that have come in her life, like, just weren't great. And she was just feeling so down and thinking, like, man, like, are my standards too high? Are my expectations too high? Like, what is it about me that isn't attracting the right kind of guys? And literally, if you would have talked to her 6 months ago, like, she was really down and in a really dark place because of her reality.
Which makes sense. Yeah, it's hard.
Totally makes sense. And as her sister, like, it was so hard for me to watch and just know. And there's nothing you can do about it. And then literally one day she got a DM in her on Instagram, and it was this guy, and they started chatting, and then they met. And that day they met, it was the person that she has been waiting for. And she is literally she's so happy and she's so fulfilled, and she's like, I would have never thought, like, if you asked me 6 months ago, like, I just would have been like, yeah, it's not happening, like, it's probably not in the cards for me. And she's like, and then one day it was. And it just was the matter of a day.
Yes.
So, like, you might be in a really dark place, but, like, tomorrow could be the day that you meet him. Like, next week could be it. And if you're I just keep that hope. Like, you gotta hold on to that, because it is real.
I agree. I think that goes back to the questions too of age. We had, like, a lot of girls who were like, I'm 21, I'm 22. I think that was, like, the biggest age that I saw of people being like, I feel like there's pressure in a timeline. And I got married at 23, and I was, like, one of the last of my girlfriend group to get married. I had planned all the bachelorette parties. I was, like, the last one, and I did feel a little behind, and I was 23.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was still young. But there's not a timeline. And I think when I was thinking of this podcast episode, I was like, there's a difference between a culture timeline and God's timeline. The culture timeline is not God's timeline.
Yeah.
But I think we get those confused, because as members of the church, we focus on family and finding your partner and having kids. And then there's a 28-year-old girl who's listening to this podcast, and she's like, my clock is ticking for kids. And I'm stressed about that. And I'm, like, going to get emotional because I'm thinking of someone specifically. But that's not God's timeline. And I know he loves her, like the girl I'm thinking of right now. Like, he wants that for her. He wants kids for her. But I think we can't confuse that. Also, I'm a baby. My followers know this. I cry, like, all the time. But I think I do feel strongly for people And like the biggest thing I want people to take away from this episode is like, you're so dang awesome.
Yeah.
You're so awesome. There are big things coming. I look at my own life a year ago before I started this account. My life looked completely different. I had just gotten on depression, anxiety medicine, and my life was a mess. And I looked at it and I was like, I want more opportunities. I want to get the free stuff on social media. Call me selfish for that, but that looked fun.
Yeah.
I want to be able to take my family on cool experiences. I want to be able to make money as a mom. I want to be able to do those things. And one day I decided to make the change to start this account, to start creating more opportunities in my life. And the fact that I am on this podcast right now, when I started my account, someone asked me what my dreams are for this account. And I put that I wanted to be on this podcast and the What We Said podcast. And I think I'd only had my account for 3 months. I was under 10K followers, but I'm sitting here now on this podcast and I have all these awesome girlfriends now because of it. And my life has gotten so much better. My mental health has gotten better. And so for your sister who thought it wasn't going to come, or for the girl who's 28 and she's like, God, like you said you want us to have kids, but I'm here and I'm waiting and it's not happening. Or for even the girls who are married right now and they feel like they're in a slump. Like I met my person, but now our life is kind of boring. Or I feel like, what is my life for? Like there are so many good things coming, but also you need to put in the work for them to happen.
That's
so plan the group date, make it happen.
That's what's so obvious about your story. And I want to be clear for everyone is like, we're meant to act and not be acted upon. Like the perfect guy isn't just going to walk into your life, right? Or the 50,000 followers on Instagram making you an influencer doesn't just walk up to you. Like you have to go and put forth the effort. And maybe right now the effort that you need to put in is to help build your confidence. And if you're struggling with comparison, okay, well then maybe act and get off social media for a period of time. Like
I think that's so good.
Use your agency to make choices that are going to better you, and that's going to set you up for success. And
I agree.
to have all the dreams that you want, like it will happen. But that's what's so beautiful about our theology and our understanding is that God, who is all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving, gave us our agency so that we could have more of a capacity for joy, more of a capacity of this achievement, this accomplishment, creativity, and growth.
Yes.
And we tap into those godly abilities when we use our agency and we make decisions for ourselves and act for ourselves. So make good decisions, go forward. We're going to become the best versions of ourselves. Like I'm feeling motivated and I'm married.
I know. I think one thing I was actually thinking about this, I was driving here and we'll wrap this up. I know this is getting long, but one thing that I love doing like little challenges with like my following on social media, but it might be good. Like let's all sometime when you listen to this in the next week, go get yourself a drink from Swig. Go take yourself up in your car up the canyon. Take yourself on a solo date and write a list of all the things you love about yourself that a guy would be so lucky to have.
Oh, I love that.
So instead of making the list of like what you want in a guy, be like, a guy would be so lucky to have me because I am kind, because I'm going to be a good mom, because I'm a hard worker, because I am so fun to be around. Like make a list of like the things that a guy would be so lucky to have about you. And go treat yourself and like maybe do your prayer with God then. But let me know if you do that. Send me a little DM. But I think a positive outlook change after this episode of like good things are coming is one of the most positive forms of medicine you could have. And taking that little step to go do something fun for yourself, I think could really change someone's mindset who's really struggling with dating right now.
One thing I love about your account, and I feel like you're so good at, is setting goals. And then achieving them, doing the work to make them possible, make them happen.
I'm trying.
So I'm like, when you're like writing that list of all the great things about you, also write about the things you want to become, like the good things that are to come, and then write down what you need to do to become those things, and then start doing them. Yes. That's what I'm feeling motivated to do.
Heck yes, girl. Good things are coming. We can feel it.
Oh, well, I love you. Thank you if you've tuned in and listened to all this. We love you.
You're the best.
We're glad you're here. And Sarah, thanks for sharing. You're such a light, and I feel like you shared so much wisdom. So you were definitely the right person for this
I'm not sure how much wisdom there was, but I think we had fun. I think it was a fun girl chat. Didn't expect to cry on a dating podcast as someone who's been married for 2 years. But I want to thank like anyone who's come across from my platform. and listen. Like, I super appreciate it. There are so many awesome girls out there. My brother's name is Nathan Sweeten.
And his
He's
Instagram.
super cute. I think it's Nathan_Sweeten. I'm not very sure. You can go find him who I'm following.
Oh my gosh.
He's the cutest ever. That's how I'm going to end this podcast.
How old is he?
He's 20. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, Nathan. He's going to listen to this too because he's that kind of brother. If you go look at my Instagram page, he comments on every single video. He is the sweetest boy on the planet. He's 22, 21.
Sure.
No, 21.
You're looking at me as if I would know.
He's been home from his mission for a year. How old is that?
Oh, 21 probably.
21. Sorry, Nathan. I love you. You're the best. He's 21 and he's the best ever. He's at UVU, cute, tall, blonde. If you see him walking around in the hallway, I dare you to go up and say hi to him and introduce yourself. But you guys are the best ever.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye-bye.